Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, The Flash, episode 15. God, these network shows, these seasons just go on and on.
20-something episodes of stuff we like. Yeah. How dare they?
Yeah. Francis, Bibbs, Alonso, out of time. Oh my God.
What a cool episode. Can we throw to a clip?
Let's throw to a clip.
Let's throw to that clip.
Let's reminisce.
I've grown quite fond of you. In many ways, you have shown me what it's like to have a son.
I can't believe this.
Dr. Wells had something to do with Barry's mom's murder. He's in a wheelchair? How could he possibly have done that?
You're smart. But you're not that smart.
The Flash.
This is the best structured episode of television I've seen in a while.
Whoa,
this is a really cool idea.
That's, you're talking big, so...
No, I'm just talking about structure. Execution, I don't think they necessarily nailed it.
Okay.
But from the concept of this episode, where essentially, this is the season finale.
That's what I was
We've got
thinking.
this huge fucking, like the biggest threat Central City's ever faced.
Sure.
We've got Cisco dying.
Right.
We've got Wells revealing himself and starting to tell us all about his master plan. We've got Barry telling Iris everything, including like how they feel, and that he's the Flash, and within seconds of each other. Holy crap! Yeah. And then Barry runs so fast he ends up yesterday. Yeah. And then we get to undo it, presumably, and like he gets to like mess around with the time stream, and assume they're going to find out whether or not time can be changed.
And he's going to save Cisco.
And I sure as hell hope so. But that was a cool idea.
Yeah.
It was a cool idea.
I have to say, I was like, there was so much going on. Some of it satisfying, some of it just sort of shocking, or oh no.
Yeah.
And then, it should have dawned on me. It should have. The voice in my head should have been like, this is going to be
too soon, man.
It's fake. It's going to be a fake, or it's a dream sequence. It's an imaginary story. Something. It's a time travel paradox.
Bear with me. I walked in here. I'm fresh from this episode. I'm still trying to process in my head. It was so mind blowing. But I completely agree. What is the season finale going to be like?
Right.
This is the season finale.
They just raised the bar. The content-wise, this would have made a great season finale. I feel as though if there's any real flaw in this episode, is that it never really felt like it was playing like a season finale. It never really felt like we're getting to the end. Holy shit, the bad guy is winning. Everything is like totally turning to hell. Like I just felt the pacing could have been tightened up towards the end and felt like a bit more of a rush.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, everything is going to hell. And then Barry ends up back in time. It would have felt a bit more like a relief.
Yeah.
That's a minor thing though. It's like a 9 out of 10.
I do think that the weak link of this episode is sort of the A story.
Yeah.
Is the
weather wizard bit.
The weather wizard coming after Joe was like, it was fine, but it didn't stand out from other episodes the way everything else in this episode stood out from other episodes.
Well, he couldn't have a lot of screen time, which hurt. But I think the idea was, and again, I think conceptually it's smart, coming full circle. We started with the Weather Wizard, we end with the Weather Wizard.
Well, and I also got a little confused as to what exactly he was getting revenge for, because because the brother isn't dead when he's on the plane. The plane falls apart because of the...
It's not
because he shoots. The brother's ready to get into a kerfuffle with the Flash, and Joe shoots him, right?
Yeah, Joe shot him to death at the end of the first episode.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's getting revenge for. That's why he needed to go to the morgue and find out who shot him.
The flashback was confusing because I thought that's when he killed it, but he doesn't.
I thought the flashback was just reminding you that the Weather Wizard had a brother.
Okay.
My flaw was more intricate. I think it was more of the... How can Martin just walk into the police station? Is like these little details. He walks in and gets this one-on-one standoff, which is great for TV, standing off with Joe, but they're not supposed to be protecting him. Like they'll dive in front of a bullet for him.
Yeah, surely there are pictures of this guy around the station right now.
Whilst he's talking to Joe, one guy's just on the phone like this, just peeking up. Like, what's going on here?
Well, even just like Cisco's like, okay, so all you got to do is hold this, and the Weather Wizard won't be able to do anything to you. I'm going to set it down in front of you in the lobby. Like, hand it to him.
Well, also it's like maybe make 10 of those.
Yeah.
Make a bunch.
Cisco, come on. Like, oh yeah, I forgot. I built this device. Like, they do that a little too often, I think. And there's a couple of little nitpicky
And let us not forget in all the other tumult of this episode, gay police captain.
I was going to ask that. Is that...
We've mentioned that before.
He'd been mentioned before.
He mentioned very casually. Very casually.
In conversation.
And of course, he's the one who almost dies. Although I guess that's undone too. So that's kind of good.
Apparently, but like, nothing counts in this episode ultimately. ultimately.
And maybe that was the idea of it, because I just thought it was far too tragic at that point. I was like, people are going to be disheartened going into the season finale, knowing that the favourite character, Cisco, may be dead. So it was a great spin that he has a chance now to change it. But will he change the time? And what happens usually in time lapses, it has a circle-on effect, and people they'll start to ripple the way through. And
it'll be raining toasters.
Yeah, exactly.
Wells, or as we now have officially confirmed, Eobard Thawne, and his relationship with Cisco was really well handled in this. It was nice to see him have a quiet moment bonding, but it was also nice to confirm what has basically been right in front of us the whole time, which is, if nothing else, Thawne respects Cisco. Even though he's a goofball, he's obviously incredibly intelligent, and there's that moment where he actually, like, you can tell, like, Cisco wanted to hear this from Wells. He wanted to, like, you know, like, thank you. Your approval means a lot to me.
Cemented himself.
And then right before I get murdered by you, it was kind of fucked up.
He cemented himself. He's that jokester character. I felt like it was great acting. He cemented himself as someone who was to be taken a little bit more serious. He was deeply affected by this guy who he looked up as a role model. Has turned his back on him and basically been a turncoat.
And I think
and so Eddie is his ancestor.
That is correct. If that's how it played in the comics anyway. They could adjust that slightly, but
is it? I have no idea.
No, in the comics, it's exactly. Okay. Eddie becomes a different character named Cobalt Blue.
So what about the love triangle coming back into it? Let's see. So did you expect it to be in episodes? I thought it would have been a destined season finale kiss.
I thought they were going to make us wait for it. But again, like it's very clever where they're giving you all this stuff that feels so satisfactory, or at least, you know, dramatically impactful, and now they're going to take it all back.
And what's cool is that they get to do it in an entirely different way. Like when Eobard Thawne revealed himself and he told his whole speech, the audience doesn't need that again. They can do that in an entirely different dramatic way next time.
And at least, we can now move forward as an audience past the hints. Like now we know all the facts, even if it turns out that it's going to go back to a pre-speech point where the other characters don't know it yet.
And it gives the writers of this so much more flexibility to take each relationship in a different way, because now we are seeing what we would love to happen, and we're already intrigued. But if it's taken away, then you've got the space to kind of build it back up again, because you know that it's going to come back round circle when Barry is going to finally get with, I always forget her name. He's going to finally get
Linda? You're talking about his sister, Iris?
No, I'm thinking that he's his current girlfriend at the moment. Linda, like, I feel that relationship is going to be the one that's going to kind of take off now, because now that we've seen Iris, it's not going to happen.
Well, I think what they're setting up, and what would be really beautiful, is Barry now knows that Iris has feelings for him. But if Barry pushes that before Iris comes to the natural realization on her own, it's not going to fly, and he's going to end up pushing her into Eddie.
Because Barry knows everything.
There's this great anime movie by Mamoru Hosoda called The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and it's about a teenager who goes back and forth through time, but it's full of stuff like that, where she'll have a conversation with someone who should be ahead of them, and like this guy she knows has a crush on her, and now she knows that, and it ruins their relationship, even though she undoes the conversation. So there's all kinds of things you can do.
I hate to mention 50 First Dates in this context, but yes, it's
I was going to make it even worse mention and talk about Smallville. Have you seen the Smallville episodes when Clark Kent actually has the chance to change the distance of time and try to go back? And it was with Lois Lane. He actually lost her. She died in an episode, and it was very dramatic. But then he actually went back and changed.
Richard Donner.
Yeah, he goes back to change it. So it had that same effect to it, and it's good, but it shows you an event that you want to happen, and now I think that, as I said, they have the flexibility to completely take it a different direction.
I think there's a tendency to believe when you're looking at genre fiction that time travel nullifies drama. That there is, like, basically, nothing matters. Well, no, it does, actually. It certainly can. It just changes the way it plays. It gives you a lot of options to be very, very clever, but you have to be clever in order to get away with it, and I think this is a really smart way to do it.
The idea of now Barry having to carry this stuff around with him, and which would be interesting. The more he knew going backwards would be even more interesting. But even with just the Iris stuff is enough to make this a cool thing.
What do you think might happen then to change the course of planets? But I'm thinking more about Cisco. Like, what do you think Barry's going to do differently this time? It's going to change Cisco's course, because it seems like he's set at this point.
if they can get rid of the Weather Wizard earlier,
which there's no reason to think they wouldn't.
Before Joe gets taken hostage, then he and Iris don't have to leave at that moment, so that when Linda shows up, he can actually go off with her instead. I don't know where that.
And maybe Caitlin decides to be a better actor and not try to fool. not try to fool the smartest guy.
Keep him in the coffee shop longer, then he won't go back.
She's like, I'll buy you a coffee. We're just going to sit here and relax.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to check my watch to see
there is a lot of graph paper in the Flash writer's room of like, this timeline now, this timeline now, this timeline.
Right,
So.
which is cool.
Yeah,
they did a good job, even just like that one little bit where Flash sees like the mirror version of himself, and then he stops, and there's just a couple of signifiers, just so the audience will remember, that lady was here, this was here, then we go back to it. They're clearly laying the foundation so that there's a lot of memorable moments and beats that can exactly just go in a slightly different direction.
It will be the "I got you, babe."
Yes.
of this little scenario.
Why not?
Yeah, all right.
Cool episode, man.
Yes,
awesome.
Good stuff
Holy
from the Flash. So we'll be back next week. Hope you will too.
In a Flash.
I'm gonna hit you so hard if you don't stop doing it.